Come on with it. Come on with it. Happy hump day to y'all. It is a Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into the show. Hope you're having a good middle of the week here. And live with you on the radio here today for a couple of hours. We'll see what we can get into. Anything goes. There is no predetermined plan for today's show. Now, before y'all, you successful people out there, all you successful folks start jumping all over me for not having a plan, because you happen to realize as a successful person that plans are imperative, right, to success. What is the thing? Who was it? Buffett? Somebody said, an idiot with a plan can beat a genius with no plan. Okay, I get it. I'm saying there's a larger plan. Okay, we got concepts. We got concepts of a plan here. Okay, but I'm just saying for today, coming into today, this particular show isn't lined out, ... segment. We do this, we do that, then we do this, and then this happens, and then we do that. It's not, okay, you get me? So today is a spontaneous Wednesday. So spontaneous, in fact, that I just named this show without any alliteration whatsoever. I didn't say Wonderful Wednesday. I didn't even say a whatever Wednesday, which is really what it is. I just said it's a spontaneous Wednesday. So get on in here. Whatever you want to talk about is good with me. And, really, okay, and again, I ask for your forgiveness. I got to be out tomorrow. I got a video photo job up near close to Memphis tomorrow, and I'll be back with you on Friday for full-on preview and stuff. But today is a good time to look ahead to the weekend, familiarize ourselves with who's playing and when. Here we are. So we've had two shows this week, and we've yet to really dive in on Ole Miss and Oklahoma. And I, like many of you, feel like it's a mere formality. Ole Miss, 2 weeks to get ready. Oklahoma, offensively, that whole thing. And Ole Miss is really good on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. But they still have to go play the game. We haven't touched on it yet. We can do all that. And so really, whatever you want to get into is cool with me today. A spontaneous Wednesday. Hey to you on the live stream. Feel free to drop a comment if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Coming to your comments in just a minute. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best. Hard for me not to put jalapeno and cheddar at the top of the list, and that's the flavor I've had the most of. Man, that's good stuff. Try it if you haven't. Country Pleasing. The number to text the show on the Country Pleasing text line is 885-3776. Got it? 885-3776. Or another way to remember that is 601-885-ESPN. You can text that number. You can also call me and get to hear your voice that way. Call me on the Divini Equipment phone line. Divini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson. Your Kubota dealer. They are the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S., in fact. It means they've been doing it better, longer than anyone else right here at home at Divini. All right, so give me a call. The number to call, 897-1059. 601 number, 897-1059. And we'll be off and running. Checking in with B. See, I switched it up, B. I went overall theme from Always Sunny because Brando called the other song Twinkle Toes. How you doing, B?
Hey, my what?
You thumbs up on Spontaneous Wednesday? There's no alliteration. It doesn't even sound right. Can we go there?
I'm for it because, sometimes it's just too much work to think of proper alliteration, especially when you're hungry.
Yeah, you told me. Why are you so hungry today?
I didn't eat breakfast, and I've drank a lot of water so far. So there's nothing in my body except to eat high quality H2O.
Why did you skip breakfast?
I had to go to a doctor's appointment.
Okay. One of those
Yeah.
where they won't let you eat?
Exactly.
Man, don't you hate that?
And then I neglected to eat when I got home. Well, I was only at home for like 15 minutes and
Yeah.
then had to leave to come back here.
So you didn't have time because you're a working man. Are you someone who you will eat normally after midnight anyway?
No, actually, I've been pretty good about that.
Okay. Because that's what they tell you. They say don't eat anything after midnight.
I think, well, I'll tell you, the last time I've eaten was 8 o'clock last night.
Okay.
I do remember looking at the clock.
Well, goodness, yeah, that's been a little while. Well, and see, that worries me, though, B, because this being a spontaneous Wednesday, it's exactly the kind of day where we would have some food talk here in today's show, but I'm a little hesitant to do that because I don't want to torture you over there.
Oh, no, I'm okay. I expect it because it's like I told you, Wednesday is it's the magical time of the week where, see, you, Matt Wyatt, you get it. I was actually talking to Big L about this earlier today. I said, the good thing about Matt Wyatt, he gets it in the sense that we've determined that, like, right in the middle of the week, Wednesday, you've already beat the last game to death.
Right.
And you are not one of the people who wants to beat the next game to death 4 days and 3 days.
Yeah, no.
So I expect Wednesday to, it's going to be sausage or fish or,
Right.
potato salad, all that.
Okay. And
So I'm okay with it.
What you're trying to say is, and to use your term, one of your terms that you use so well, we get the meaning. Today, you expected today to be a little loose. Right? A little loose.
Yeah. And not in a negative way.
Yeah.
Because usually when I use loose, it's not good. But loose as in structure.
Yeah. Loose structure for today's show. Okay, so you expect. Yeah, I would say, at the risk of sounding lazy, I get it, but I can't do it. I can't dive in and start making picks and previewing a bunch of games and stuff on a Wednesday. And if you listen to this show, I generally ain't doing a whole lot of that anyway. Just because, gosh, there's so much of that out there.
So maybe that you can help me decide what to go eat after the show. Because, I don't like to go get lunch, really, because I don't want to pay for it. But today's different. Gotta get something in an hour and 50 minutes.
Something substantial.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that is closest to you is that service station, that convenience store down there on the corner, be like a block or 2 blocks away.
But the problem there is I don't know that by 2 o'clock if they're still serving the chicky tendies,
Yeah, that's a good question. One way to find out, though, Beaver, just go in there. And if they are, who cares if they... I'm just telling you, they're not only good, they're humongous. The chicky tendies at that particular place. I'm a big old boy, and I can put away some food, and I never get more than 2. Now, again, those of y'all out there went, well, Matt, 2? Yeah, listen, trust me. One of these chicken tenders, quote unquote, is big enough for most people. Trust me. I don't know what kind of chickens they're getting that off of, but they're big ones. Anyway, try that out. Food suggestions, lunch suggestions for Beef, we'll take them on a spontaneous Wednesday. Hey, over here on the live stream, Will says, happy hump day, Matt. Well, back at you. Happy middle of the week. And it is time, you turn the page from last week. Go ahead and look ahead to this coming week. But, we're just not quite there yet. But we'll flip ahead and start looking toward the weekend. Hail State fan texted the show and said, beautiful day in Middle Tennessee. And always a great day when Matt's on the air. Well, thanks, Hail State fan. Again, forgive me for tomorrow. I got work out and about. Be drudging around with 3 or 4 cameras draped around my neck and shooting stuff all day long, and then back on the air with you on Friday. and time to really preview the weekend's games. But yeah, it's good to be with you here today. Will said Oklahoma did fire their offensive coordinator this week. Maybe that will have an impact. Yeah, I mean, does that kind of thing ever have the impact of instigating an upset of a top 10 team or whatever Ole Miss is now in their stadium after they've had a bye week? Probably not. You know, maybe it gets them going a little bit, but it's not going to make that huge of a difference. Not now. Sven says, basketball news, 2026 guard Lanny Smallwood commits to Mississippi State. Yeah, I had somebody walk up to me in the Junction this past Saturday and said, hey, you know, this kid, her name is Smallwood, women's basketball. She's from Alabama. She's really good. Going to make a big difference. So we shall see. Hail State fan said, praying for Will Rogers. They go to Indiana this Saturday. Ooh. This is a tough road trip and long road trip for Will and the Washington Huskies. Debbie commented on Facebook, said, Hail State. Blind Squirrel said, Matt and the chat, aside from the pass interference debacle in Austin, how would y'all grade SEC officiating this season? Well, I would say it's kind of par for the course. It's kind of just the way it has been. I didn't notice necessarily a big difference, neither in improvement or worse or anything like that. It just kind of is what it is. All right, over on the text line, the country pleasing text line. And let me think. Hold on. I think they don't call holding when it's obvious. Okay, that's the thing. I'm okay with you're not calling a lot of holding on interior inside runs, stuff like that, right? Right, because it's all mixed zone block and they're all in a big mash in there anyway. But when it's an edge rusher and a Texas A&M guy turns around and basically grabs him by the belt and pulls him so that he can't go hit the quarterback, like it's so obvious you have to call that. That's the thing. And I think the worst things they do is they don't call holding when it's obvious. You know, you shouldn't have 10,000 people sitting in the upper deck of an SEC stadium that can clearly see a hold, and you're an official on the field and you can't see it. That should never happen. And so that's my gripe with them. But otherwise, I don't know that it's really any different than it's been. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's not any different than it's been. Denzel texted the show and he said, Matt, I need some prayers. Nothing wrong, but I have to go to Oxford tomorrow for my late grandfather's induction into Ole Miss's School of Business Hall of Fame. Well, first of all, attaboy. Denzel's grandfather, congrats to you and to the fam. But hang in there. Just put on a brave face. Denzel, there's a lot of good people in Oxford. Most of them are out in the county. No, what I find, let me just make a statement, Denzel. Like, there's a lot of really good people in Oxford. Okay, it's like the ones that are really that you want to avoid are the people who don't live in Oxford, but they want to go in there and pretend that they do. That's the ones you want to look out for. PT for MSU texts the show and says, my best friend's dad used to get on us when we'd go fishing in high school. We didn't have a plan. He'd say, what are y'all going to go fish for? What kind of bait? We don't know. We're just going to go see what we catch. And he'd say, son, y'all don't have a plan. See, he knew. Successful people know how important the plan is. I'm not saying I'm successful. I'm saying the successful people know. Tyga texts the show with 2 H's, and he says, afternoon, Matt. You've seen Texas A&M play. I don't know if you've watched LSU or not. How do you think the game between the two will shake out? It's a big one for first place in the conference. Yeah, it really is. You know, if that particular game, but, you know, you're asking me to kind of take a peek at LSU A&M for the weekend. Here's the thing about it for me. A&M, they are very good, like especially up on their front, and they are very good against the pass, pressuring other quarterbacks, you know, opposing quarterbacks. But they're not, like strangely, they're not necessarily a great run defense. They haven't been. Just a shut everybody down, rush defense. So it's a little weird with them on that side of the ball. And then there's LSU, who they are where they are because of throwing the football, right? Largely. And Nussmeier and throwing touchdown passes. That's kind of why they are where they are. And so the matchup is a little hard for me to get a grasp on. That's why I think, the range of things that could happen in that game is really broad. Like a lot of different things could go one way or the other. If everybody is who they are, what I would think is it's probably a little bit of a closer game because A&M can probably run the ball some, which kind of shortens the game and keeps it close anyway. I mean, I think the A&M can probably run the ball some on LSU, but it's the pass rush ability of A&M that could be a little bit of an equalizer. I don't know, talking in circles, but I kind of, it just feels to me like one of these games that LSU may find a way to win it and it's close. Maybe one big throw or two, but feels like a close game to me. I do know, I guess, like overall, Tyga, athlete for athlete, A&M's got them, man. They've got them. They've got the athletes. They got the linemen. Hey, and I'll tell you this, Tyga, I know you go to some games. If you're going to that one this weekend and going to watch LSU and A&M, you'll notice this, the size of A&M's offensive line. Man, they are massive. They're huge, big old jokers. Nick texts the show. What's up, Nick? He says, Dodgers are rolling, Matt. Shohei is 18 for his last 22 with runners in scoring position. That's batting .818. He says the Yankees are going down. .818 with runners in scoring position his last 22. That's incredible. Unnamed texter. Hey, Matt. I have a podcast about Mississippi State sports that a buddy and I started for fun just before football season. I'm working on, not saying too much. You have any advice for me? You don't have to say the name on the air. It's called the State First Podcast. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. Maybe some folks can check it out. Y'all can let them know what you think. It's called the State First Podcast. I don't guess I would be the best person to give you advice on how not to say Yeah, because I've done that a lot, too much, all those things. I think the biggest thing to do is relax and, don't be too hard on yourself. If you go back and you listen to some of your first shows and you say too much or you say like too much, the best advice would be, get to the point. It's not like you're calling a game. Podcast is different. As long as you keep the audience in your view. And what that means is, no matter what you're talking about, no matter what you're getting into, just make sure that your mind's eye can still see the audience. Just don't get into a mode where you're having a really good time, but nobody's listening to you, right? Because you kind of lose sight of the audience. What you say, what you do. If somebody gives you their attention, their time is valuable. When they pair their attention with this time they can never get back, man, they're giving you something that is the most valuable thing they can give you. So you just kind of treat that with respect and always consider the audience. That'd be my advice. Joe Mailman says, gas station gizzards and livers. Well, now, Beaver, there is a suggestion. If you wanted to just go throwback, go wild throwback. Gas station livers and gizzards. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona, texting us here with pictures to boot. And it's a turtle with spots on his head. He says, you remember that really cold spell in North Mississippi, maybe 8 or 9 years ago? I do remember it. got below zero several nights in a row. He said, your wildlife show preview reminded me of this. He scraped this dude out of my yard in 𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐢, half dead, put him under a heat lamp for a few days. So you heated him up. Box turtle. Did Jason find a box turtle?
You know what my first thought was when he sent that picture?
What's that?
You know, we talk about everything in life can be related to an episode of Seinfeld. Yeah. We've extended that over to The Office. The first thing when Jason sent that picture is Kevin Malone. I'm immensely proud of what I did for that turtle.
That's right, because he killed it. Big dumb Kevin killed it. What did he do? He broke the shell and tried to glue him back together?
Yeah, he tried to glue back together and put keychains and bottle caps on his shell with super glue.
And he was, quote unquote, immensely proud of it. So everything relates to The Office. That is neat. Yeah, and speaking of that, Jason, really cool interview that they're airing this way. We did it a few weeks back, whenever it was, with a guy who is a professor at one of the colleges in the Jackson area, and he is an expert when it comes to the box turtle. You know, those cute little turtles that go walking through your yard once a year. And there's some stuff about them that is amazing. Like, you can easily have one in your yard that's 60, 70 years old, stuff like that. On the Mississippi Outdoors podcast from Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, just look it up. YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, the Mississippi Outdoors podcast. That's really interesting. New episode today. Just getting started. Stick around.
Oh, you like this? It's the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal, the taste brand, the cereal that's all-bran. A breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new transparent fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right.
Don't worry, he's got a menu full on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone 105.9.com.
All right, I got just enough hot coffee in the thermos from High Point Roasters in New Albany, Mississippi. Just enough in the thermos to get me through a couple of hours, I think. I didn't have as much. I drank more this morning, so that's why I chose my smaller coffee cup, the ceramic coffee cup. I got it from Country Pleasing Sausage over there at Country Meat Packers on Highway 49 in Florence. Those that are on the live stream can see it. Little ceramic mug. It's got that original pickup truck Henry used to drive around in back in 1976. Ooh, that's good stuff. Yeah, get your coffee at High Point Roasters in New Albany. When's the last time y'all been to New Albany? You talk about a beautiful little town now. Good leadership. They've got their act together. It'd be a great place to live. But I can confirm it is a great place to get coffee from. Realizing I ended my sentence there with a preposition, but hey, this is spoken word. Text me, call me, comment on the live stream. Love to hear from you. Jason in Flagstaff responding to White Denzel, who's worried he's got to go to Oxford. Jason said, there's nothing wrong with Oxford per se. You just have to stay away from certain people and places that make Ole Miss's sports, particularly football, and especially in the 1960s era, their entire existence. That's one way to put it. Hey, you know what? I'm embarrassed to say that I still, to this day, have not been to and seen with my own eyes. And that is where William Faulkner lived. You know, his house and property and everything right there in Oxford. What's the name of that place? Shoot, I can't remember the name of it. It's got a name. Roanoke. Isn't it something like that? Haven't been there. Okay, I would love to see it. I want to see it. I'm a fan of his. As much as a guy from Alabama who's a Mississippi State guy can be, I guess. I still want to get over there and see that. So that's one of the many redeeming qualities of Oxford, Mississippi. There's, you know what? Here's a negative, though, that has not been discussed enough about Oxford. You know, stereotypes, big, broad paintbrushes, that stuff's for the birds. It doesn't work. But you know what? The road between Tupelo and Oxford, which is Highway 6, okay, it's all one road. It goes all the way to Batesville and right on to Clarksdale, basically. Turns into some other road. But it's all one road, right? But Highway 6 from Tupelo to Oxford. You know how some people will get sick on a curvy road that's curving right to left? Well, let me just tell you, there are other people that get sick on a road that is constantly up and down. And we're not talking about huge, steep inclines and then a long, descent. No. Just this, up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. When they built that, they went the cheapest route possible. They didn't want to level anything out. They didn't want to move too much dirt. Certainly not going to use dynamite and blow out some hills there so that we can have a relatively flat road. That is the hilliest, up and down, ridiculous road in America between Tupelo, Mississippi, and Oxford. Up and down, and up and down, and up, and then back down, and up and down. Man, it's like that's one of those I'm going to have to find a back road, and maybe it cost me 30 minutes, but I'll take it. I'm sick of that road. I had to ride it the other day through there from Tupelo to go over to Clarksdale. And then I guess, you know, the payoff is that once you get past Oxford, you get over to Batesville. Certainly you get through Batesville, you top the little bridge over the railroad track, and then boom, you're in the Delta, whoosh, flat as a flat rock all the way to the river, you know. My mother-in-law texted me and said the whole town of Vicksburg is hilly. Yes, but it's good hilly. Like I said, there are some tremendously steep inclines, right? There are some where it's a long descent. There's some rolling hill. And there's a bunch of places in Vicksburg where they moved a lot of dirt to try to flatten some stuff out for your road. Oxford's like this right here. It's like it's playing a trick on you. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Small incline, little decline. Small incline, little decline. Well, and this is about like complaining about the weather here. Who's going to ever do anything about it, let alone care? All right, St. Louis Vic texts the show on the Country Pleasing text line and said, Matt, I just had the biggest brain. He said, I thought to myself, I wonder if Matt and the Homecoming Queen ever get to attend the Egg Bowl when the game is in Oxford. He said, now think about that for a minute. Shaking my head. Yeah, we have. We got some funny stories about it too, like from before I started doing radio. But, you know, now for the last, I always have to count this up. Why can't I remember how many years I've been doing it? So 2011 was my first year in the broadcast booth as the analyst. 2 years before that, 2010, 2009, I was a part of the broadcast crew, did pregame, postgame. So I think it's just 16 years total, maybe now 14 years in the booth, like calling the games as a color analyst. So in that amount of time, any Egg Bowl, I've been in the booth for it, wherever it is, including the ones in Oxford. And it's not bad. I'm trying to think of the road game stuff that we go to work it. Parking is good, especially since Ole Miss built that parking garage, because if I'm remembering right, yeah, I am. If I remember right, that's where they park us. That parking garage is great. It's convenient, like right next to the pavilion, which is right next to Vaught-Hemingway. So that's good. Press box is always really clean, roomy up there. What else? They always have good food in that press box. Yeah, so it's not a bad trip at all. And I know what you were saying, Vic. I did have the experience before I started doing, the year before I began doing any radio for state football, 2008. You remember, was the blowout Egg Bowl in Oxford, like 45-0, and I went to that game with Annabeth. And we were sitting up there in what I guess is the southeast kind of corner of the stadium. Well, a lot of the people, and still do, a lot of the people who work the media stuff at Ole Miss games, whether it's in the control room or running the cameras and stuff, they're friends of ours because we used to all work together 20 years ago at WTVA television in Tupelo. Well, so in 2008, that's our friends were the ones running cameras. Well, I didn't know it, but Annabeth was texting one of them, hey, here is our seats. Put the camera on us and put us on the video board. So they did. Front and center, and left us on the screen for a long time. Her and me, and I'm in a state shirt, and we're behind like 45-0. It's like, so I refused to smile. I knew which direction the camera was. Okay, this is kind of funny. They're doing this as a joke. I know the guy running camera. I will not give him a smile on this video board. And so everybody was kind of giving me what for because of that. But I just felt like I was obligated not to look like I was having a good time at all. And that was my last one to sit in the stands, last Egg Bowl to sit in the stands with her. And so, other stuff might have been memorable, but the game was not. Unnamed texter says, Matt, don't forget, Mississippi State Highway 6 was an MDOT project and had to be engineered and planned by Mississippi State engineers. Don't put it on Oxford. I don't care who it is. There's parts of that road where I'm just telling you, you must have a new car, because an old one, an old truck that's kind of lost all the compression, like it'll get you there, but barely. You can't ride on that road. You cannot take an old vehicle from Tupelo to Oxford. You burn it up. Ridiculous. Flatten it out. Easy to say. Tiger with 2 H's. He's back to LSU and A&M, who play each other this weekend at Kyle Field at College Station. Tiger says, I'm not going to the A&M game, unfortunately. Well, I hate to hear that. Have you ever been to one at A&M? I tell people all the time, if you haven't, you need to look for a reason to go to an A&M game in College Station, because everybody there is overly nice, good food, and the stadium is a spectacle in and of itself. You just have to see it. I don't know that I've been to one that's anything quite like Kyle Field. It's incredible. But Tiger says not going. He says, I think it would be a great experience, although A&M fans are quirky, yell leaders. I know, they look like somebody let the paint crew out on the field. He says, all I've ever heard is nice things about it. They're nice. They're the nicest people in the world. Every one of them says howdy to you and smiles. Tiger says, I did go to the Ole Miss game. It was awesome. Oh, I bet. I bet it. For you, I bet it was awesome. All right, a little bit of time left here in hour one, and we're just getting started. It's still early today on this spontaneous Wednesday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court. Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look, not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl, gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke is like everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke is like everybody wants.
Come on, Harry, come on. We're getting our picture taken.
Special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember. In pictures.
Smile, Howard. Smile.
To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life.
See, wasn't that fun?
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes, Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the raisin bran, Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies, and there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal, fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack, untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with 'em. Each individual box comes to your FOD, fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the big rich one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you. So they're delicious and nutritious.
At the Zone 105.9 and coming to you worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team. You know, if you're going to do a podcast, always keep one eye on the audience. Everything's about the audience. It's all the content's for them. If it's not for them, you got your eyes and thoughts on the wrong thing. Brad related it to that old tried and true saying on Facebook, customer is always right. Seems like a lot of successful businesses adopted that, among other things. Customer is always right. And let's see here. Blind Squirrel Sports said, one time in Kentucky, the Shoney's had frog legs on the all-you-can-eat buffet. He said, but all I could eat was 0. He says, because I don't dine on amphibians. They're gross. Well, I mean, I think calling them gross is a stretch. I don't think they're gross. You know, to each his own. Some people eat stuff you don't like. You may eat stuff other people don't like. I wouldn't call them gross. Probably because I've had some really good ones. Fried. When they're fried, crispy, you know what it tastes like? Chicken. Yeah, it tastes like little thin chicken legs. Pretty good. Although, hey, you know, it's interesting you say that, Blind Squirrel, because this is a true story. You're the one who said one time in Kentucky, and then frog legs at Shoney's. When I was a kid, a church that my dad had pastored for a short time in Kentucky, like out in the country outside of Louisville. I was like a little bitty guy. I don't remember it, okay, when he pastored that church. But when I was a kid, around maybe 8 or 9, they had a reunion Sunday or like a homecoming Sunday at that church. And a lot of people that used to go to church there came back, and they invited him and us to come back. And they invited Dad to preach. And so we stayed. We drove up there from North Alabama. We spent one night, I guess that Saturday night, with a family who hosted us in their house, and a big house and plenty of places. And they fed us that night. And we're going to get up the next morning, go to church and all that. And for dinner, at these people's house in Kentucky, they served frog legs, fried frog legs, among other things. That was, that might be the first time I ever had them. But anyway, I tried them. I couldn't believe how good they were. So this is, again, 8, 9 years old. I ate them and ate them and ate them. And needless to say, in the middle of the night at these strangers' house, I woke up in the middle of the night, woke my mama up. I was sick as a dog. I was sick of frog legs. I overdid it on frog legs in Kentucky. That's a true story. Anyway, that's all there is to it. I just thought, well, blind squirrel, and maybe you said Kentucky and frog legs. Maybe there's something there we don't know. Now, he also said the reason he thought of that was because we were having that gas station gizzards conversation. Now, listen, time out. If you're listening and you just tuned in, particularly if you just tuned in and you're an out-of-stater and you're just passing through, this is a sports show primarily. However, we're in the middle of the week and ain't nothing going on. There's no game tonight. You got to wait till tomorrow night to have an NFL game. Big games on Friday night. Huge games on the weekend. We just had some last weekend. We got nothing happening today. So it is a, what do you call it? What did I call it? Spontaneous Wednesday. And Beaver's hungry. Beaver had one of these checkups where they wouldn't let him eat anything after midnight last night. He had no breakfast. He's been working all morning, and the man is hungry. So let's flip it. Excuse me. And let's flip it for just a second. Beav, are you hungry enough right now that you would eat a big plate of frog legs? Would you do that?
Well, they say frog legs just taste like chicken, is what I've always heard.
Right, they do.
So, yeah, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, and you've never had them before?
I've had them, I think I've had them once. But it's been so long ago, I can't remember, but I've always heard that they taste like chicken. But it's been so long, I can't remember what it tastes like.
What about chicken gizzards?
Okay, so it's funny because I never had a chicken gizzard out of design because I always just figured they'd be disgusting. But about, I want to say it was about 5 years ago, Jake was talking about gizzards, and someone brought some here.
Okay.
And they were really good.
Yes, they are.
While they were hot, because for some reason I had one after they had cooled down. Nope. And now then they are disgusting. So the taste is 100% dependent on the temperature. But while hot gizzards, I was a fan.
So it's hot or not? If they're hot, yes. If they're not, don't touch them. Okay. All right. He's a hungry man. I'm trying not to rub it in. Hey, I do need to catch back up here. Rick commented on the live stream. He's on Facebook. Congratulations, you are the new owner of an antique U.S.-made Stanley thermos. He says, I'll be at the game Saturday. And Honey, who I was texting with earlier, has Rick's number, so I'm going to get it from her. Rick, again, let me know what you want for it. See, look, I've been using this thermos here for years. It's mine. But it says, and it's a Stanley, okay, but it says made in China. Hand wash only, obviously. Do not microwave, duh. It's like, that's like the Pop-Tart instructions. Why you hate they even have to, some of us are dumb enough they even have to put that on there. But I digress. It's a good one. See, and the Stanley company that used to make these things in the U.S. and in Tennessee eventually started making them in China. So, and I bought that probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago. But he's got one of the originals, the antique like this, like Walt Longmire was riding around in his truck with. Made in the USA, Nashville, Tennessee, with a handle on it. Mine does not have one. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Rick, thank you. I appreciate you. Also, we had the engineer discussion a little bit ago. As Oxford, somebody brought up Oxford, and I think there's a lot of positives. The negative nobody talks about, Highway 6 from Tupelo to Oxford. It's unreasonably hilly and bumpy. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. They should have flattened that thing out. Dynamite, big tractor, move the dirt, like everybody else does. But no. We're going the cheap route. So now when I go, it's like curvy roads don't make me sick. The last 10 miles of the Natchez Trace going into Nashville, it doesn't bother me. And it's like this, right and left and right. That does not bother me. But this up and down stuff, it bothers me. And somebody said, you blame it on the engineers from state. Melissa is pointing out on YouTube, there are engineers from Oxford and that other school that work for MDOT. And blame them too. She said, can't assume it was a state engineer. Well, Melissa, you're probably right. And here's what we can assume in all this, though. We can assume that I'm the one that doesn't know what he's talking about. It's easy to complain. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Let me just keep reading here. A Hail State fan on the live stream, he's on YouTube, says, at the women's Final Four, my sister asked where my seat was so that she could look for me on TV. I told her to look for Dak, then go several rows up because I couldn't afford the seat he was in. Yeah, no. And I'm sure he didn't have to pay for that, right? Bulldog West is here today. Thanks for stopping by. It's been a while. Danny with a great question that I think is probably not raised or pondered enough. And Danny says, how come everything tastes like chicken except eggs? As Pete from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou would say,
that don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense. All right. What do y'all want to get into? Sure. Hail State fan, you want to talk about that? Yes. The Kansas City Chiefs are trading for DeAndre Hopkins. I'm telling you, they always seem to make the right move, don't they? We'll get Beaver's reaction to that. Also coming up in hour number 2 here in the Bureau. Coming up after this. Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. You know, that's just kind of, you know, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. You know, I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. You know, when you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, you know, get pulled over, you know, need an insurance card, wind blows, you know, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, you know, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
Abilities turned into achievements on the biggest stage. What would you like the power to do?
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is. Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
A Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Font.
And worldwide.
Now,
here we go. At thezone1059.com.
Turn your mic on. I'm sitting here talking away. Turn the mic on, man. Here we go. Hour number 2 of the show, off and running with you here in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the state. Now, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Really do appreciate you being a part of it. Show's not that great if it's just me. I'll be real with you. So thank goodness Beaver is here. Thank goodness you're here. And you can be a part of the show. So you can comment on the live stream. If you're on YouTube or Facebook or X, formerly Twitter, feel free to type in a comment right there. We can pop it up on the screen right on my nice handy dandy little computer here that shows everything. And then I can pop it up for everybody else to see. And we can talk, communicate that way. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It's the best. Try it. You'll agree. I strongly believe it. Text me at 885-3776. 601 number, 885-3776. You can also call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. 897-1059. That's a 601 number, 897-1059. I welcome the phone calls because I'm tired of talking. Not really, but I sure do want to hear somebody else's voice, and I think everybody else does too. Jason in Flagstaff says, some of those roads around, he said, I remember when all those roads were 2-lane, no lights, one blinking red deal in town. Yeah, that's true. Is the point, Jason, the point that you're making is it that the roads are much better now than they used to be up here in North Mississippi, and don't be complaining about them? Is that the point you're trying to make? Okay, got it. Got it. J-Rock texted and said, hey, Matt, I heard Steve Robertson earlier talking about they might be moving the signing day to September, and that could possibly cause high school seniors to skip their senior year. If they already signed, that would be terrible. Thanks, and Hail State. Yeah. Well, 2 or 3 things about it, okay? First up, for the NCAA leadership, you can call it that, and just the leadership, but, particularly from a governance standpoint, for them to do something that stupid, move it up to September, would actually be not really all that surprising, because it would be stupid. It'd be dumb, but they might do it, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to believe they'd be that stupid, though. But the other side of it for me, J-Rock, is if in some world, right now it's a hypothetical one, you were to have a situation where a high school kid who's a big-time recruit, he's already signed, so he skips his senior year to train and be healthy, I guess, to go to college. That's dumb on his part. That's dumb. That's what I think. I think that's stupid. Sure, you may get hurt, but it ain't like many of you going to play as a freshman in college anyway. And then the other side of that, the third probably arm of that, my thinking on it is, some kid wants to skip his senior year of high school for his hometown team or wherever he goes to high school. Fine. Let him do it. So what? All that means is there's some kid on the depth chart who's going to get to play. Well, it could make a difference in winning a state championship. Okay, yeah, maybe it does. Who cares? I don't care. I'll be happy for the kid who gets to play. So it really would be odd, though. David in Madison texted the show. He said, I had frog legs on an Alaskan cruise back in June. I was the only one at my table that had them. Their loss. Y'all, step back just a minute. Right, wrong, or indifferent, for good or bad, for better or for worse, find another show in America that from one listener to the next, in a coherent, cohesive conversation that we've been carrying on, we go from the recruiting calendar in football and the possibilities of it moving right into frog legs on a cruise. Find another show in America. You can't find it. And I'm tickled about that. We're not the biggest. We're not the biggest, and we don't have, and I'm not the wealthiest talking head. Okay. Ain't ever going to be. But I promise you, I'm happy to be 100% completely unique. And I agree. See, we got a man who's a Georgia fan named Blind Squirrel who says on YouTube, the lesson of the day is that frog legs are awesome unless you eat them in Kentucky. Now, this might be the weirdest yet most humorous comment I've gotten on this show on the live stream in a long time. Danny says, all I can see in my mind are frogs in wheelchairs. Danny said, we had a conversation about frog legs. I am never going to forget that. And Danny from Ringgold, Georgia said, all I can picture is frogs in wheelchairs. Hey. Welcome. Welcome to Whatever Wednesday on the Matt Wyatt Show. That is so good. Thank you, Danny. Ron from Florida says, hey, Matt, I'm from Alabama, too. Tell us all how you met the homecoming queen again, and also tell us an unknown Coach Cheryl story. Okay. Well, Annabeth and I met at WTVA television in Tupelo, Mississippi in about 2000 and what? 4, 5-ish, 4? Maybe we met in 04. We were married in 08. I had been there a good little while as, look, I'm just going to be real with you, Ron. Like, I went to work there because there was this conglomeration of job responsibilities they were willing to give me that included one night a week on the local news. I got to air a hunting and fishing segment on the local news. Okay. And it was called Southern Sportsman. Some other guy had done it. And it was popular, and then he had moved away. And so there was this deal of bringing it back, and I got to do it because as I was eat up with it. Like I was fishing tournaments. I woke up thinking about fishing and hunting and went to bed thinking about it and spent all my money on it. Is what I wanted to do, right? So I did that, and all these other job responsibilities, which included like selling advertising and stuff. I was terrible at all of it because I didn't care about it at all. It was merely a means to an end, and the end was getting to do the hunting and fishing stuff once a week on Wednesday nights on the local news, which at some point they called me in. They said, Matt, that's going really well. Mr. Mark Ledbetter, who was a prince of a man, God rest his soul. He passed away recently. He was an unbelievable guy. He was the GM of that station. He called me in there and he goes, Matt, look, that's going well. The Southern Sportsman thing, it's going well. But look, this sales thing ain't working out. But we got some other ideas. And so anyway, I started doing sports. And meanwhile, Annabeth, she had graduated Ole Miss. She came in doing an internship as a news anchor, and they hired her, and we were sort of crossing paths. I was kind of on my way out of there, and she was kind of coming in to begin to work there, and we crossed paths and had a period of time we worked together and became close friends, and really we were like best friends hanging out. And then one day, sparks, and the rest is history. Coach Cheryl's story. Well, I shared one yesterday on X, because I got on there, I searched college football, and there's all this back and forth going on about whether or not the University of Tennessee pipes in crowd noise at their games in Neyland Stadium. Chris Stewart, broadcaster for Alabama, a friend of mine, said during the game on the broadcast this past Saturday, yeah, they're pumping in crowd noise in here. Well, it makes it onto the internet, and Tennessee fans are like, no, we don't. We do not pump in crowd noise. He's a liar. And Bama folks are like, yeah, you do. And so I thought of one, and I just shared it on Twitter, and it was simply a true story. We went and played my first year in college. First year I was on the team, true freshman year, I was redshirting. 1995, we played Tennessee at Tennessee, Neyland Stadium. It was like a 1:00 game on CBS or something. Peyton Manning, they beat us, But I go out with the first group to punt. I was in with the punters and stuff. So I was the first group of guys to go out and start warming up when Coach Cheryl was with us. And one of the guys goes, hey, look at Coach. Look at him. I said, what's he doing? They said, he's cutting the speaker wires. And I remember there were speakers on the ground, big audio speakers on the ground. They were like on each end of the long bench, facing the bench, and then a couple behind the bench back there. Coach Cheryl got some scissors, went and cut all the wires. He sure did. Snip. He made no bones about it. Snip. Cut them. We were like, look at him. Sure did. He wasn't having it. Not on our bench. What do we need them speakers for? And knowing him, he already knew about it long before we got there. All right, here we go. See, this is what I'm talking about. Here's what I'm talking about. How I Met the Homecoming Queen. Right over into Coach Cheryl cutting the speaker wires in 1995 at Neyland Stadium. And right over into a text from an unnamed texter that says the frog legs is the greatest subject ever. I bet the Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert, had some frog legs on his New Orleans Saints show back in the day. So I'm telling you. See, and this is the thing. This is what I'm saying. Okay. This is for us. Okay. My unnamed texter with a Louisiana thought. J-Rock and Tyga and the folks in the live stream, Blind Squirrel and Danny and with his comment about frogs and wheelchairs and all this. And, people with questions. This is for us. Okay. We get it. I'm sure outside of our group on this show, there are people who would never find this entertaining. But for us, we really find it entertaining. And I'm being real with you. For me, if I had to, especially now, in the environment that we have kind of hovering over college sports, if I had to come in here for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 6 segments a day, and hammer away at offense, defense, injury reports, schemes, predictions, betting lines, previews, reviews, interview, I'm telling you, I'd throw up. Y'all are doing me a favor, and you don't even realize it. This is not me giving you something. It's just as much y'all giving me something. I just really appreciate it. Jason says the show is better for it. He said, I can't stand those corporatized, monotone sports shows with guys just chucking stats and bad faith. That's what. You just came up with maybe a great name for a lowbrow sports podcast, Jason. And you didn't even know you did it. chucking stats and bad faith. I mean, what a great name. He said deliberate, hot takey opinions. Yeah, I know. Like they wrote them down ahead of time. Yeah, this will get them going. I hate that stuff too. David in Madison said, I have a place at French camp. We get the Tupelo and Columbus channels there as local stations. He said, I remember your segment on hunting and fishing. He said, I'm sorry, but I don't remember you. Well, that means that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be about the stuff, not the guy. Okay. Hey, but I will tell you, like to this day, like in Tupelo and some of the surrounding areas, people will see Annabeth or they'll hear her voice and they'll go, hey. Yeah, I remember you. You were on the news, you know? She did she did like evening and then she did noon and then she did mornings. And I think what eventually drove her out of it was doing the morning show, having to wake up at 4 a.m. Which she is anybody knows her knows, that ain't working. Ever. Will, come on now. Beeve, Will sent us a joke on the YouTube live stream. Why was the legless frog so sad? He was hopless. Not hopeless. Hey, Will, let me just tell you, I appreciate those kind of jokes, the dad jokes. The worse they are, the better I like them, because a lot of the humor in it is people's reaction to the bad joke. Beaver doesn't know it, but he plays along with that because he will roll his eyes at me in a heartbeat. He did it the other day. The one that I told him the other day, and he did not laugh one bit. He just went, oh, man. He rolled his eyes. The one I told him was, I saw a man at the ATM standing on one leg. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm checking my balance. B was like, oh, man. I said, come on now. He will straight up not laugh at it. See, Melissa is married to Matt Caldwell. Matt was offensive lineman on that team in 95. And she says, I saw your tweet. I read it to Matt. He said, it's a true story. He remembers it. That was his senior year. Cut him. He sure did.
Excuse me, Matt Wyatt.
Jump in there, Beef.
Roles reversed right now because you were talking about these dad jokes. And I came across one last night someone put out there.
Let's hear it.
So while we're talking about it, I might as well, because I figured it'd be right up your alley.
All right, let's go.
Why do bees have sticky hair?
Why do bees have sticky hair? I don't know.
Because they use honeycombs.
Yes. Yes.
See, even Uncle Bill is unimpressed.
That's what's funny about it, is people like Bill boo it. That's part of the humor. Honeycombs.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, you thought it was interesting.
That is a dad joke, though. That's definitely one of those.
Hey, let's try this, though. My machine, okay, for Father's Day, Mary Lady gave me this machine, and those on the live stream can see it. It's a button, like a game show button that you press. It sits on top of your desk, and it says dad joke. Okay, and when it's on, all you do is hit the button, and a joke comes out. You ready? You ready, Bill?
I'm ready.
All right, here comes a joke. I'm going to press the button.
What do you call a man with no arms and no legs wiggling in a pile of leaves? Russell.
Golly. Oh,
he laughed. Bill laughed.
That's because it was so stupid.
That's what I'm saying. That's the humor in it. The worse the joke, when we get to a certain threshold, Bill, the worse the joke, the better it is. And that makes no sense, but you get it, right?
I got it, yeah.
You want one more? Let's try one more. Some of these aren't good, but some of these are. Let me try one more on the dad joke button.
Last time when I was someone's type, I was donating blood.
Well, that's not funny. No,
Is
that's not funny.
Is that Jim Gaffigan? It sure sounds like him.
No, that's not him.
Okay.
On that joke button machine, I did get one that I remembered, though, that I will always hang on to, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
And it said, I have an unreasonable fear of speed bumps, but I'm slowly getting over it. I thought, now that's pretty clever right there.
Yeah. It took a while to think that one up.
Yeah, look, though, Bill, Beav will have, it's something is really cleverly funny if you can get an audible out loud laugh from Beaver. He's the one I'm trying to get.
Yeah, he's definitely the one that's going to tell you if a joke is good.
And he's definitely the one that will roll his eyes when it's not. All right. Well, we're just rolling along here today on a whatever Wednesday. It started out as a spontaneous Wednesday. And then frog legs. Someday when we become famous, we'll print T-shirts and sell 1 million of them. It'll say, and then frog legs. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream. This is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new transparent fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. $625 worth of extra features at no extra charge.
Losing again. You're going to hear about them all and get to talk about it with Matt Wyatt right here, right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. And also staying connected to you because of C-Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. C-Spire, #1 in Mississippi. Customer inspired. Check them out, cspire.com. Thankful for them. I got myself a brand new, well, as of a few weeks ago, handy dandy iPhone 15 Pro Max from C-Spire. So I've got the best phone and the best network. And they put the best cover on it. So they said, Matt, listen, judging by the condition of your old phone, you just got to trust it. You got to keep a cover on it. It was busted to you know what. They even put little covers on the lenses of the camera on the back of my phone because they were even busted out on my old one. So yeah, and because of that, instead I don't watch stuff while I go down the road, but I stream stuff. And I can be on the Trace, and I'll do it all the time. Like I can drive from Jackson back to Tupelo on the Natchez Trace and listen to podcasts or tune into a ball game right there on my phone. Thank goodness I have C-Spire. Speaking of, Michael said on YouTube, saw your C-Spire commercial and then found you on here. Well, see there again. I didn't do C-Spire a favor being on that. They did me one. And now Michael found the show. Welcome, Michael. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for the comment on YouTube. Y'all say hey to him. Blind Squirrel says on YouTube, I might be a Georgia fan, but when I'm here, it feels like I'm just talking sports with friends. Plus, we get to talk about frogs. Today we've had frog legs and a little bit of everything. On that note, MSU 1980 texted the show and he says, Matt, do you know if there are frog farms or are all of them caught in the wild? Man, what a great question. I'm not aware of a frog farm. Here is what I'm saying. Now, I want to say maybe I've seen a video clip or two of other countries. Whether they're eating them or doing something else with them, I don't know. But they had a whole bunch of frogs in a lake, something like that. But, you know, maybe they were raising them. I don't know. But here, I'm not aware. I remember, you know, Mississippi is so fantastic and so diverse. And you just never know what you're going to run into. That was like 21 years ago, 22 years ago. One time, it was right after I'd moved to Tupelo, and somebody said, hey, you know, Todd Jordan, who played quarterback at State, he's from Tupelo. He lives out here, and he's doing this and that. You ought to call him. He's always doing different things. Maybe get him on the outdoor show. And I remember I called him. He said, hey. I said, hey, what are you doing? He said, oh, nothing, just getting ready to go frog gigging tonight. I said, really? That was my introduction. I think the first time I ever talked to Todd on the phone was he told me, oh, nothing, I'm just going frog gigging tonight. And I think I had about 15 curiosity questions after that. and frog gigging Todd Jordan, touchdown throwing, bomb punting Todd Jordan, punt, pass, and kick winning Todd Jordan is now the mayor of Tupelo. True story. Unnamed texter. Hey, Matt, on the Country Pleasing text line says, when me and my buddies were 12, 13 years old, we used to catch frogs and crawdads in a creek behind the house, fry and boil them back at the house after school while mom and dad were at work. Now, listen, let me just stop right there before I read the rest of it. You've heard that term Americana? and most often it applies to things like what? Norman Rockwell paintings, classic cars, right? Apple pie. Like in reality, now we're on to some Americana now, okay? Buddies after school catching crawfish and frogs, fry them, boil them back behind the house before mom and dad get home from work. Says because mom would have not been happy if she'd had found out. We had no idea how to cook back then. He said they were still really good. Now, how about that? Somebody asked how Annabeth and I met. We talked about the news, went back to doing local news. Jason in Flagstaff, he's from up this direction, North Mississippi. He said, I remember both of you on the news. I was hardly ever back home then. I vividly remember the buzzbait one. He said, I think dude's poking fun at you. So you remember that? Jason, are you telling the truth? Because I don't think we've talked about this before. You remember the buzzbait episode of the Southern Sportsman that we put on the news? Because if you do, I am so impressed, because that's the one that stands out to me maybe the most also. Because I spotted this little pond stuck back in the middle of nowhere off the trace one day, just riding around on country roads. Got curious because it looked fishy and found out who the owner was and asked them, and they were like, sure, go ahead. And I think I went by myself, Jason. I set up a camera. Now, this is one buzzbait one that I remember. It seems like maybe we did another one time, like on a golf course. But this is the one I remember. I set up a camera and decided, okay, I'm going to put it right here. Here's the shot. And I'm just going to continually cast over and over. I'm going to bring that buzzbait in front of this camera. At some point, maybe, just maybe. And on about the third one, right in front, right where I had this shot, bam, one came up and ate it. Got it all on camera. I was so tickled. Grumpy texts the show. Grumpy said, Matt, Grumpy has not heard of Mr. Mark Ledbetter since 1968. He did the evening news on WLBT in Jackson back then. Grumpy ran the what? Superette? The what? We what? Superette back then? Mr. Mark came in after he did the news at night. He said, who was taller, you or Mr. Mark? Always wondered where he had moved to. That is so neat to hear that, because Grumpy, listen, the story that I had been, Mr. Mark Ledbetter, who was from Amory, Mississippi originally, like that's where he grew up, was just blessed with this speaking voice that was like, I mean, it is not an exaggeration. It was like Walter Cronkite, all those, they had nothing on him with the natural speaking voice that God gave Mr. Mark Ledbetter. And he could have gone as far with it and as far away from home as he wanted to. And as I was told, there were even offers to do that. But he did not want to leave Mississippi. He did Jackson, and then, I think, came to Tupelo and was on the air and eventually became the station manager and was just a wonderful guy. Wonderful guy. Neat memory. Appreciate you sharing that. Mailman David, you get it. David gets it. He said, in other words, those of us that listened to Chris Brooks' show understand radio is better this way. Well, like better. I don't know. Like part of it is a uniqueness, like, right? If every show was the same and they talked about the same things, surely that can't be good long term. And the great thing about local radio, like when you think about those that listen in the middle of the day live here on the station in Jackson, 105.9 The Zone. You think about, you've got local shows during the day, and they're all a little different, right? And that's good. I mean, you wouldn't want them all to be the same. And it's all really, this is just one show over the course of a whole day's worth of programming. And you need different. You need different and unique. And the only way you're going to get that is if people somehow, some way feel as though they have the freedom to do that. And I was listening to somebody talk about that, someone who's an expert in, content creation and the internet and all that kind of stuff. And they made some really good points in that far too often what happens is, especially in the corporate world, and you look at media, young people come in, okay, they look up there at who is successful in this particular genre and go, okay, that is success. And that sort of just becomes this idea of, there it is right there. That's it. That's success. And the next thing you know, they're talking like them, they're looking like them, they're acting like them, they're living like them. And if that's the way you're going about things, where's the uniqueness? Where's the originality? Where is all that? And it's up to the leaders, if it's a company, if you work for yourself, it's different, which I do. But if you're looking at a company, where are the leaders that give people the freedom to be who they are and kind of cut out their own path? And if you're eliminating that, pretty soon it's all going to look and sound the same, which is not necessarily a good thing. All right, a little bit of time left with you here on this Wednesday. Back after this.
Now's the time to get a great deal on proven components.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down, hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom. All right, back with you. Y'all get on in here. A little bit of time left here. Yeah, good point. Danny, talking about fishing, Danny says buzz baits should be called heart attack baits. Yeah. Right. Or I don't know what the name would be, but the bait that the fish is going to hit it when you decide to look away for a minute. Right? You can make 15 casts with a buzzbait, and you're watching it, and it's on top of the water, creating a ruckus. You think any minute now, no. 14, 15, you keep watching it, no. And then you get lazy, you make that cast, and you're like, gosh, and you look away, and boom, when you're looking away, that's when he hits it. How do they know? Okay, well, look. We do have time left. As I said earlier today, I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me. I'll be out tomorrow. Got work to do up in northwest Mississippi, close to Memphis, and then back on the air with you on Friday, and time to preview and look ahead. And huge high school games this weekend. If I hadn't looked it up, but I thought somebody mentioned to me that MRA and prep, huge. Tupelo hosting Clinton, huge. I'm gonna go to that one. Hometown. I'm gonna go see it. Tupelo is doing a push to, on social media and stuff to try to get more people out to the games and try to fill it up. They want a big atmosphere for that one. But let me give you an example. Okay, so it came in today. Here are some tabs open on the official laptop of the Matt Wyatt Show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. College football scoreboard, which there are no scores. It just shows you when they're going to play this weekend on ESPN. So ESPN 11 a.m., the game that'll pop on ESPN right after game day is over this Saturday, is Ole Miss hosting Oklahoma. Ole Miss ought to win it easily. Oklahoma can't offense their way out of a wet paper sack, and Ole Miss has a really good defense. So Ole Miss ought to win. They've had 2 weeks to get ready, so, whatever easy is, I think it ought to be fairly easy for Ole Miss. Of course, I mean, I say easy. It's not like you're playing Furman, but still, 3 touchdowns, whatever that is. State and Arkansas kick at 11:45 on the SEC Network. And I think State's got a chance. I guess Arkansas's favorite, rightfully so. Their program is a little more established than State's is right now. State's had some success against Arkansas. It's one of those games where if you go and win some, State, you better do it. Now, Rick brought it up earlier on the live stream over on Facebook that he had seen today where Craver was not going to play. I guess that came out of a Wednesday teleconference opportunity. So whatever injury it is, bad enough to keep him out. I told you it didn't look good to me. Just the whole, I've seen a bunch of them, and that one to me didn't have the right look to it. And I hate it because he's important. His speed on the field changes how defenses have to play, and it either opens up stuff sometimes for other people or it opens him up. And that's been good to them. And so I think not having him is a big deal for State. I really think that. Now, they do have some others, right? They got weapons, but I think not having him is a deal for State they're going to have to overcome. Missouri goes to Bama, 2:30 ABC. Prime time on ABC. LSU at Texas A&M. I think that ought to be a close game. I think it ought to be a good one. Maybe could go either way. Matchup, not all the matchup, but a key part of the matchup might even favor A&M. That's their pass rush versus LSU wanting to throw the ball as much as they do. Auburn goes to Kentucky. Expect Kentucky to win that one at home in Lexington on Saturday night, 6:45. And then Texas at Vandy. Do you know that I read today that Vandy is putting up these giant nets? Is that true? Why? Why would they do that? Or was that a joke? Were they saying they were putting up nets since Texas was coming down so the Texas fans couldn't throw anything on the field? Maybe it was a joke. I don't know. If it's a joke, disregard it. Here's another tab that I had open on the official laptop of the show. Malcolm in the Middle star, Frankie Muniz, it has landed a full-time job as a driver in the NASCAR Truck Series for 2025. Now, how about that? Hey, Beeve, did you ever watch Malcolm in the Middle very much? I never watched it. Man, I know about it. I've never watched it. But this little kid has grown up to be a NASCAR driver. Truck series, but he's on his way. Isn't that cool? Of course, big news in the NFL. I had this tab open. Chiefs are finalizing, are doing the trade with the Titans. They're trading for receiver DeAndre Hopkins. And they're sending a 5th-round pick that could become a 4th-round pick. I don't know how the Chiefs keep pulling that stuff off, but they do. Sad news for those of us who were kids of the 80s, or at least part of the 80s. Legendary Dodgers pitcher Fernando Valenzuela has passed away at 63 years old. He was incredible on those sort of teams. Okay, let's see what else. Let's see what else was open that we didn't get to. On a day when Beaver is famished, starving. The guy is starving. Hasn't eaten since 8 o'clock last night. I held it to the end as long as I could here, but today is National Boston Cream Pie Day. What's Boston Cream Pie? Anybody know? What is it? Cake? You call it Boston Cream Pie. It looks like cake to me. Delicious dessert. Boston Cream Pie. Apparently it's a pie. Pie lovers. You said it's a cake. It's called a Boston Cream Pie, but it's cake. It's a pie that's actually a cake. Just thought I'd pass that along to you. Sports history, anything? Yep. Today, on this day, October the 23rd, 1945, the Brooklyn Dodgers signed Jackie Robinson. It's kind of a big deal. On this day in 1988, Dan Marino, recruited and coached by Jackie Charlotte Pitt. Dan Marino of the Miami Dolphins on this day in 1988 threw for 521 yards in a game, 3 touchdowns, went 35 of 60 against the Jets. It's considered the single best passing day in NFL history. Hey, yeah, Beeve, you there?
I'm here now.
Okay, so check it out. Today is National Boston Cream Pie Day. Do you know what Boston cream pie is?
My favorite.
Is
back
it?
in the day. Yes, back in the day in here, local, in Metro Center Mall, when we used to have a Morrison's cafeteria. I don't know if you're familiar.
I am.
Yeah, you could go there and you could walk through and get your own stuff. And every single time, because me and Big L and Little C frequented that place.
Okay.
Every single time I would you can pick your own dessert. And I got the Boston cream pie. BCP.
BCP, Boston cream pie. See, I'm not really that familiar, but I saw the picture and it looks like a cake, but it's called Boston cream pie. And then I read this, Beaver. Delicious dessert. Let's celebrate the cake with an identity crisis. Pie lovers move along. Cake lovers pull up a chair. Boston cream pie is a chocolate frosted, custard filled cake. Boy, it sounds good. And man, this picture looks good. I'm just saying, it looks like a cake. Well, Beeve, listen, I know you're starving. This has been a tough show for you today because you've had to fight back the urge to just turn the mic on, walk away, and go get food. But you've been here nonetheless. Oh, by the way, did you see that? We got a text from an unnamed texter that he mentioned you, and it always comes out beef. Instead of beef, it always comes out beef on his text.
Oh, that's on purpose.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he just started texting in a few weeks ago,
Okay.
and he said beef, and me and Jake talked about it because I really like that.
Mhm.
I thought it was a typo the first time.
Right.
So, and I think we mentioned it, and he just says beef every time now.
Yeah.
And I love it. Beef.
Well, he said, tell Matt I got the ultimate dad joke. It is, how does the moon cut its hair? Eclipse it. Eclipse. My man Terry Fant, pastor at Hickory Ridge, says, Beeve, you need to know that he has tuned into the show from Mama Hamill's. Now, there's an idea. You ain't far.
Oh, Terry. What are you doing to me?
What are you doing, Terry? Well, that's it for Beeve. He's about to go eat. I'm out tomorrow. We're all back on Friday. See you then. We'll talk some football then. For all of us here in the Bureau. See you then. See you.